not following the lead. They're seeing it, but they're not going. What if you did the opposite? How do we do this?
Yeah.
I guess we just started talking, right?
Yeah. I think that's also one of the cool things about the podcast is like it is a little weird to not know who's listening or when. We have an idea that it's not that many people. But maybe like I'm sure some people have listened to snippets here and there and like it's kind of cool to not know.
I know that they have. I mean, when we were posting, I would get, a couple people that would say something about it every once in a while. But in a weird way, too, it's weird to come back after a pretty long silence, but it's also, it's almost like liberating in a way to be like, yeah, we kind of fucked it up, and now we can just do, like, anything.
Yeah.
Not fucked it up, but just, like, we went silent.
Yeah.
And now it's like a fresh start in a way.
Yeah, like it was an experiment, and at a certain point, we were just like, all right, like, it doesn't make sense to do this every week.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I think this gap was definitely longer than it needs to be, but it definitely doesn't need to be every week either. But, when necessary.
Yeah. It's cool to get together, record a conversation.
Yeah. I'm sure it'll go some interesting places.
So you've been getting more into music recently, or just practicing more?
A little. I mean, yeah, that's what I was starting to tell you is like I brought back my guitars and violin and stuff, which I hadn't played in like literally over 10 years, and they were just sitting at my parents' house, and I figured if I'm ever like if they're not doing me any good there, and at least bringing them down here, I could at least decide if I wanted to get back into it or not. And I'm not even sure if it's something that's worth like wanting to tie up so much of my time. A big reason for that is just like the music that I got more into, and why I like stopped playing guitar was I got so into electronic music and this more creative stuff, and manipulating samples and voices and stuff like that, and I was kind of over guitar music kind of. It just seemed like a little too basic, so that was why I originally stopped. So I don't even know if I have the desire to like get super deep back into it, but it's been kind of fun to just pick it up a little bit. It's kind of nostalgic, of course, because I used to play just for hours and hours and hours and hours.
Yeah, I feel like it's hard to have a desire to go really deep into something. It's just like, especially with something like music, you just like pick it up and do it because you want. Like music you do because it's fun, because it's music, but if you're doing it because you want to like go deep, then you're almost like out of it.
Yeah, you mean like just going deep by chance of stumbling into that flow versus like I'm gonna go deep. Like, is that kind of what you mean? Like, yeah.
Exactly. Like the only way to go deep is just by
to fall in,
stumbling on it. Like when you're deep,
Well, that's how it used to be, and I think this even tapped into like a broader thing. Wow, we can. This is awesome to be back on the podcast or just talk to you in general, because this is like, now I remember what my brain does in these situations, whereas we just take like one little thread and then we immediately go to like everything. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's what my brain just did, is because I think it makes me think of like a broader sort of just cognitive issue in the world right now which is just like focus and distraction. And I used to fall into those rabbit holes of flow and focus with, say, music, and play guitar for 14 hours a day, or stay up literally till the sun was coming out working on the same 10-second loop, just a little tiny chunk of an electronic music song, or even just listening to full albums back to back. And in the modern world, I feel like I can't sit still for 30 seconds with that. Like I literally feel so ADD compared to that deep focus that I had at a young age, where people would assume you're a kid and ADD and all that. And I don't know if that's just me or if that's just the world we're living in right now with distraction and social media and cell phones and all of that. But I can't imagine getting into that place.
It's definitely harder.
Yeah.
Recently I've been like, I guess over time I've kind of done this, but just really like trying to cultivate states where that can happen. So I leave my phone on Do Not Disturb probably like all the time now, except if I like call someone, maybe I'll leave it off of it for a few minutes if they call back. I also like went into my notification settings, and I'll just like scroll through my notifications a few times, and if there's things, it's like, oh yeah, there's like a turkey for $3.99 at Whole Foods. Like, why am I getting this notification?
Turkey for $3.99 at Whole Foods. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to dig into that because I've still.
Yeah, it's such a good deal.
Yeah, let's dig into that turkey, man.
Yeah,
okay, I definitely want to
full turkey, not a half.
Yeah, let's dig right into this turkey. No, but I want to dig into because a few months ago, like when we were talking just in general or on the podcast, it was like we were both kind of in this in between stage of not that focused and all of that, and now we're here a few months later. I'm still there, and I feel like you're not still there. So I need to try to like figure out what you have figured out, and I think that'd be a good topic to get into. But on the notification thing, I do all of that. Like, I mean, I have my phone. I've actually been meaning to make a YouTube video about this for a while. This is a good reminder that I should do it. Is just all the sort of hacks that I've done on my phone, because I think I have quite a lot. Like, you know, almost all my notifications are off. Like literally everything. I mean, except for texts, and for calls they don't even really come through because I just leave my phone on airplane but Wi-Fi when I'm home.
Oh, okay.
I just do that for like EMF reasons also. But I mean, I have even stuff like Instagram off, like DMs, like I'll only see those things if I click into that app. I have like, you know, no distracting phone background. I just have all black. My lock screen and my background are just black. I've got like a bunch of these things, and yet I still don't really get focused on. I don't know. I do all the hacks. I'm like obsessed. If there's anything I'm obsessed with and focused on, it's like the hacks.
Yeah, I think like even the notifications, it's just like to have those settings like figured out. It almost like it affects the whole way you see the world. It's like because notifications are sort of like world happens to me mindset. Whereas the alternative is like, no, like I happen to the world. Like you have to like actively click the app, and like it's like opening your mailbox versus giving the world permission to throw a letter at you at any time of day.
Yeah, and it's so necessary to do this because I mean, I think like the world more than ever is just like in our face, and just like I think a lot of people are not, you know, in like controlling what they're doing. They're just like it's like inbound versus outbound, or like, you know, what, and yeah, so
it's like
you have to take control of that. But so okay, so you have your phone optimized. How have you gotten into that state of actual focus? Like, is it just that you have nothing else to do because you're completely blocking off everything, or do you have like a set schedule or a set routine, or like a blocking off times, or a ritual to get into this work, or what are you really doing?
So I think like thinking back a few months ago when I like was a little bit more aimless, and like especially like there were times like I also just like didn't I didn't have like that many friends like near where I lived, and like we would hang out, but it was just like I think I was just like a little bit lonely.
Yeah.
And there was that, and also mixed with like not being super excited about work. So I think it was a lot more difficult to like go from like stopped to in motion. But and we can get to that part of it, but I think now I sort of just have a routine because like I am really excited about the work that I'm doing. Like, so I'll wake up and I'll do the morning routine, which is like meditate for maybe 10 or 20 minutes, then read for maybe like 5 to 15 minutes.
Can we do Tim Ferriss and like really like get granular? Like what time do you wake up?
Oh, I don't set an alarm, just whenever I wake up.
What is that on average for a weekday?
It can fluctuate, but maybe between like 9:30 and 11.
Okay. And you meditate first thing? Like that's the first pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like
go pee.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. How long do you pee for?
All right, 37 seconds. So, yeah, like I usually try to not look at my phone notifications, and like probably like 90% of days I'll do that, and then like on the other 10, like it's just like, because I have to like swipe up, and I try to like cover my phone while I'm swiping up so the Face ID still works. But sometimes I just like see something and I like
You don't
can't
leave your
resist.
phone on airplane overnight?
I don't, because then when people text me, it'll show as like not delivered, and I think that people
I
like
guess I don't worry
double
about it.
send it and stuff.
Yeah. I have
know.
wondered that. Jessica tells me, this is a little bit of a divergence, we'll get back to the routine, but
Yeah.
you know how sometimes you'll get like an iMessage, but then you'll get like another one that's like you'll get it twice?
Right. Yeah.
Does that actually mean the person like held it and hit resend, or is that just what the phone does when it regains connection to iMessage? Like, do you think those people are manually doing that, or do you think it's just kind of sending a second time?
Do you mean getting one iMessage and then getting one green text message, or getting two iMessages?
I think they'd still be. I don't think it comes in green when it's those ones, but I'll get it a second time when I turn off airplane mode, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I know that if sometimes I'll get like a message on iMessage once I go off airplane, and then I'll also get the message in green as a text message, and I think that people see that it wasn't delivered and they do send as text.
Yeah.
But either way.
I've been curious about it. But okay, so you don't leave it on airplane, but you try to not look at notifications first thing. So why are you unlocking your phone at all?
Oh, because when I meditate, there's a track that I listen to on Spotify, which is like, it's called Dream 10, Dream 20, or Dream 30. Those are the minutes that it is by this Liquid Mind, which is just like the thing, and I'll listen to that.
Is it just it's not a guided meditation, it's just like a background noise?
Exactly.
Okay.
And yeah, I just like sit there, like breathe, close my eyes, and I don't know, sometimes I'll do the 10-minute one and then I'll be into it and I'll go a few more. Sometimes I'll do the 20-minute one, I'll go a few more. I don't know, I really kind of wing it. Usually it'll be like between 10 and 20 minutes. Then I'll read a few minutes of whatever book I'm reading.
Literally a few minutes?
Like maybe between 5 and 15 minutes, depending on how into it I get. Then I'll check my phone, which is kind of exciting. Check Bitcoin prices. And I don't know, like get ready. I joined a co-working space in Santa Monica.
Okay.
Which makes the biggest difference I can imagine.
I was just gonna ask, like, is that sort of what is giving you more work structure? Is it like, because you even said like getting ready, which like for people that have jobs, they're probably like, well, duh. But if you don't have a job, it's like, well, when do you get ready? I mean, there are days where I'll like take a shower at like 1:30 p.m. or whatever, just because I haven't done anything that required me to wear pants, you know?
Yeah, I think like I always like getting out of the house. Like there's also this coffee shop about 10 minutes from me walking called New Delhi that I'll go like when I don't want to drive 15 minutes to this office space that I'm at, co-working space. I'll just walk to New Delhi. You would love it, by the way. It's like all organic.
You told me about it, and I have not tried it, so I need to make a note to do that. Yeah,
but just like getting out of the house, I feel like even if I go, like, dude, I'll be there for like half an hour sometimes, and be like, I'm just like tired and like done, but like I just feel good about myself that I like got there and got out of the laptop. Yeah,
it's like what people say about getting in the habit of, say, like working out is who is this? Is it Mark Manson that said this, or somebody? But like somebody was saying that, if you just make the goal like to put on your gym shoes, you're probably going to do some more than that, Mm-hmm. So it's like, so for you, you're kind of saying is you feel good just by the sake of going there because you're already starting to accomplish something, is how it sounds to me.
Yeah.
Is that
it's
how
like,
it feels?
Yeah. Like just like making it about the routine, and like in the end, like what I accomplish in one day is not going to really matter one way or the other. It's just about getting there and going. Like I want to be the person that's like working every day.
Yeah.
And I think part of what pushed me to this is just like I was starting to like run lower on money.
Yeah.
And I was just like, fuck, I do not want to run out of money again. Like, I need to just, like, figure this out. So I just started taking it all more seriously. And, like, it's just, like, it's had these compounding returns where, like, I get excited about it. And then, like, over time, it's, like, eventually, like, I am making more money. And then that's exciting. And that gives me so much more energy.
Yeah, it's like a positive feedback loop.
Yeah. And it's, like, fun to, like, not only to, like, be making money and to, like, be, like, succeeding at something, but also, like, what I'm doing now is, like, I'm referring people to Brave, and, like, I just, like, and I'm doing it through, like, things that I write.
Yeah.
And it's just, like, really creative, and, like, I also, like, I want to tell everyone about Brave because I feel like it's a great browser and everyone should use it.
Yeah.
And it motivates me a lot more than, like, say, Card Buddy is. Yeah. That's just a card holder. So I think that, I don't know, like, over time I've just, like, learned what I want more. Like, man, when I first started Card Buddy, or when I first was in college trying to start a business, I kind of thought that I wanted to, like, make a big business and, like, have employees and stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, and I think over time I just realized, like, I just want to, like, enjoy what I'm doing. I want to, like, do something that I think that, like, makes a good impact. And also, like, I want more money than I have right now. Like, I'm happy with how things are going, but, like, I just know that, like, with more money you get to, like, work on bigger projects and take bigger risks and, like, affect more people. And, like, I think that I feel confident in, like, my ability to spend it, and in a creative and also in an ethical way. And I just, like, I don't know, I guess, like, I went all over the place, but there's
I liked those places.
Yeah.
I want to, like, sort of, so on the just to backtrack for a second on the routine. So do you get to the co-working space at, like, say, like 12 or 1? Like, is that, and how many hours do you spend there?
Oh, I actually forgot about, so after I get ready, I'll leave my place, and I added this thing where I try and go for at least, like, a 10 or 15 minute walk before I sit down.
That's good, yeah.
And I'm working. So whenever I go to the coffee shop, I'll just walk there. But whenever I'm driving to the co-working space, I'll walk on Abbot Kinney up to, like, Press Juicery, which is right near Erewhon.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get, like, a green juice, and while I'm walking, I'll listen to a podcast, and I'll walk back, get to my car. It's probably, like, 20 minutes up and back.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, also it's a good time just to, like, get in a podcast.
Yeah.
I'll usually do, like, Tim Ferriss or, like, Freakonomics.
Okay.
And I'll go there, and I just, like, I don't know, like, blood flowing. I drive over to the co-working space, and sometimes I'll go to Phil's Coffee. I'll, like, run in, and I'll, like, have pre-order with their app, so I get my coffee, oatmeal cookie flavor coffee, and I go, and then I'll probably get to the co-working space by, like, 2 maybe.
Okay. And you're spending how long per day?
It really depends, but I'll leave there maybe between, like, 5:30 and 6:30 maybe.
Okay, that's interesting. I just asked for the details because, like, lately, like, I've just had such lack of time blocks for actual focused work, so, like, that honestly, like, helps me a lot because, like, that sounds, doable, and I feel like that's what I'm trying to move towards. There was a couple other things you said that piqued my interest. I remember that was the first one. The third one I can remember, but I'm trying to remember what I forgot in the middle. I'll just skip to the third. But the third was what you were saying. I kind of feel like I'm, like, interviewing you right now, but that's cool.
Yeah.
I just feel, like, really interested by this.
Yeah.
What would you how you said about, like, you want more money, which I agree is, like, there's no problem with that goal. Mm-hmm. There's not. And I think there's plenty of good things like, do you have, like, what are some of those things for you that, like, what are some of those things that you want to spend more money on? Like, if you were making,
other than Lambos.
Yeah, other than Porsches. Oops. Like, what? Like, let's say you were making 5x to 10x what you're currently making, like what would be some of the first things you would really change in your life?
I would. I don't know if this is the order, but I'm just gonna shoot off some things.
No, it has to be in a numbered order, please.
Okay. I would get like the best health insurance plan available, because right now I'm still on this like dingy, like sort of minimal, like if I like get seriously anything then it'll get covered, but all the medium stuff I'm not totally sure how it works. So I'd get like better health insurance, like fuck it, let's get better car insurance while we're at it.
Damn. Ballin'. Car insurance.
What else? I don't know. I would I already do the co-working space.
I think that's actually what I wanted to ask. Let's take a quick diversion. Because you said you got that at a time where you were getting concerned things weren't going so well. And for me in business always is like, that's like, if things are downward, I become more hesitant to like invest in things, right? So it's like, so how was that like, if how much is that, and was it weird to like do that when you felt like things weren't on the upswing?
So I got it sort of at like a inflection point. Like when I got the co-working space, I thought that I was sort of starting to make money with this new business.
Oh, okay, so that was an inflection point.
And like it wasn't quite at the scale that it is now, but I was still working at coffee shops before I was making that money. But yeah, I mean, it definitely like, it felt weird. It's like $400 a month, and that's like 24/7 access. And yeah, it felt weird to like spend that much on just like a co-working space, because I've never done that before. But in my mind, it was like, yeah, like if this even helps you focus a little bit more, it's just so much more. It's like worth it. Like it's not like a air quotes business expense. Like it's an actual business expense.
For sure, yeah. Yeah, it's not like my car or something. Yeah. If the IRS is listening, talk to my CPA.
And thank you for listening too.
Yeah. Leave a review on iTunes.
Yeah.
That's cool though. I mean, yeah, I almost went that route at one point, and I've thought about it. I don't know. I'm so indecisive with things though, is because I think like that could be good, but then I also just think it's like, but then I'm giving up certain lifestyle things that I've worked so hard to try to achieve, which is the fact that like I cannot have a schedule. I can work here, looking at the ocean or whatever, and like I don't know, like not have to commute to somewhere. But then at the same time, it's like, well, I'm not getting any shit done here, so maybe I do need some like kick in the ass to just go.
I mean, all those things you said would still be true. You don't have to go anywhere to work. You don't like have to commute. You like.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you're going to actually utilize it, then you're not going to be sitting at home during those times, at least.
Yeah, I mean,
like, right, I get it. It's not like getting a job where you like have to be there Monday through Friday or whatever. Like, I'm sure you've gone in at different times. You've taken days. I'm sure you've taken days where you don't go in, right?
Yeah, they don't notice when I'm gone.
Yeah, but
one of the side benefits is that I know that I'm spending this, so I'm almost like, yeah, I've got to get there. I've got to like make the most out of it.
Yeah, no, I mean there's value in that in all kinds of things, it's like I don't know if that would be considered sunk cost, but it's similar to that, like where you invest in it, so you have to stay consistent with the fact that you're putting money into it. You have to like prove that you're getting your money's worth kind of to yourself. Yeah. And like even just to like be around people that are working. Have you met cool people?
So the one that I do, it's cool because it's like geared toward, it's not like a hip trendy kombucha on tap kind of co-working space.
What?
Right?
I can't go to a place like this.
But their thing is just like it's quiet. So it's a super quiet workspace. There's like no noise. It's like very very peaceful, and like you just like all you can hear is really like some people like typing on their computers and stuff, and it's just like very focused energy. So I haven't like I just don't really talk to people that much because people don't talk when they're in there, and there's a little bit of like a side area, but not much. So yeah, I haven't talked to people, but it is nice. Like you see the same people working there day after day.
That sounds excellent, actually, because the vibe that I get from most co-working places is like they serve beer and there's like there's just like all this shit going on, and I'm like, is anybody getting anything done here?
Yeah, and that's what I don't.
So
like
this
that.
place sounds pretty interesting. It sounds like it's more based on like actual working.
Yeah,
which is a weird sales pitch for a co-working place to have. Probably no kombucha on tap.
But. Yeah, there's gonna be tons of new co-working spaces over the years. I just look at all these like huge offices of places that are like might go out of business. Just like
sure, yeah. I wonder how they do as a business though. The co-working spaces. I don't know. Like, does WeWork? Didn't they say they were like burning? I could be like literally upside down on what I'm about to say, but like I thought I heard that they were like burning just like obscene amounts of money.
I don't know about WeWork specifically. I think that the model can be profitable, but who knows how WeWork does business. But I think of it like this way. Let's say this was like let's do the thinking right now. Let's say your place was commercial real estate that was like you pay like let's say $4,000 a month for.
Okay.
And in this place you can like make it a co-working space where people are gonna and you can like maybe you can get like 20 people on membership for $400 a month. So then you spend $4,000 and make $8,000. But then there's like other costs and stuff. So maybe it is like not like the best business in the world.
Yeah, I'm sure it's possible, but I think with the real estate here it gets tough because it's like, I mean, how many people can you fit? 20 people work? I feel like we can barely have, I don't know, six people in here working comfortably. Like that's not gonna work. I mean, maybe a little more if you like knocked down all the walls and took out, the bed and stuff like that. You're not gonna need that. But what else? So what else would you spend on? So you'd up your health insurance. How much do you spend on that?
Now I spend like $120 a month.
Oh shit!
But I would pay like $300.
Okay, so yeah, you do have some bare bones shit. Yeah. I mean that works though, but wow, that's a good price. Yeah, mine's like $400. It's like not fun to pay that though.
It's not. What else would I do? I mean, I don't know. My mom's getting she's like 71 now, so like eventually I want to be able to and like she's still working, so if I could give her like $3,000 a month, then that would just like give me kind of a peace of mind,
right? Like she's taken care of no matter what, basically.
Exactly. So there'd be that. I would travel more, probably. Like I would like just take weekend trips and not worry about like fly up to San Francisco for a weekend, get a cool Airbnb, like fly back. Even like I would travel, like I would get like first class when I was flying, so also like it's just like easier.
Yeah.
And just like different things get easier.
Yeah. It's hard to sometimes think about like I'll try to think about, like what am I even trying to do? Like what are my goals, even financially, or what I would spend on? And yeah, it's hard to think like what's really worth it at like the higher levels in terms of like, because I think the part of what you said that really piqued my interest was like using it for good or doing things in the world. And I'm curious like what the next step towards that is, or at what stage you even feel like you can do that. Is it like, do you just have to have so much excess money to think like that, or is it what? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, even right now, it's like I'm like writing these guides for Brave and doing different crypto guides, and I love doing that. And like I'd probably still do it, especially the crypto stuff, but I'd probably still do this stuff. But I think if I had like just like more than enough, I could probably write about like whatever I wanted to write about. I would maybe do more of these like creative writing, like like philosophical type stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could also like over time I could like start hiring people, and I know that hiring people is also a skill that you develop, so I probably wouldn't be good at it at first, but just like hiring people, like hiring developers too, because like I have these like ideas for things I want to develop, but I'm not quite sure yet. Like I can code, but I'm not gonna want to code the whole thing. So like I want to work with like designers, developers, so like maybe I can like just like I've sort of like making money online in a very like lean way where I can travel whenever. Maybe I could like know builders and stuff and like put together these like concept ideas in really lean ways and like
side projects or could be big or
like side projects. Like I don't know, like something I was thinking about is like what if there could be like Venmo but for crypto and targeted towards like digital nomads. And
how does that not exist? Like a simple,
because like
what's the easiest way to send crypto to people right now?
I mean there's all sorts of ways, like different, like it's you send it from a wallet to
right,
a wallet,
you just have the code.
There's apps, there's Coinbase, there's
I mean you could do it through any of the exchanges but I guess it's not, it's still, I mean none of it still seems consumer friendly, at least from the semi outside. Like I don't know, like my brother and I use Venmo, but like I don't think he even knows what Bitcoin is. Like, you know, it'd be really hard to explain. Like, yeah, just send it to my wallet ID. Make sure you're sending the right type of coin, and like, you know, you don't want to send Bitcoin to an Ethereum address because it'll just disappear forever. Like, we'll get to crypto in a second.
Okay. There's a lot to cover on that, and I know if I start, we'll dive down.
And then the title of this will be crypto related, and we might not want to categorize this as full crypto.
Yeah.
I am. We'll set that aside for now, but I do want to get back to.
But yeah, like what to use money for?
Yeah.
Like I'm not. Here's the thing: is like, I'm sure that like I just know, like, sort of have a sense, and maybe I'm not putting it into words, but I sort of have a sense for like the type of creativity that I want to have, like the type of way I want to affect the world. Like I enjoy like making cool things and like inspiring people in like different ways, whether that's through like good customer service or through like easy to like through like a cool browser. Like I just like I don't know, I like people like aha moments. I don't know how much sense this is making, but I just know that when I just know that the steps are gonna like take care of themselves. Like
I totally get you, and I think I can relate because it's kind of the way I think about YouTube, and you know, like I struggle a lot with YouTube, but then I also think if it really got going, then I would do this and this, and I would make videos about these other impactful topics, like how you said, like more philosophy type stuff. Like I would love to do some videos on that side of things, or just other whatever interests me or that could be impactful. But right now it feels like, you know, you don't have the leverage, the resources. You know, maybe I'd spend thousands of dollars on making a single video. Whereas like right now I'm just like, oh, I don't know how to really do that, or I don't know, like I don't have the right sort of network and willingness to just throw money at stuff like that. But I get you about, I think like whether it's writing or videos, I think that's similar to what my answer would be in some way. Like if I just had no care in the world about finances whatsoever anymore, like you know, maybe I would just try to make almost documentary type videos. I've been really inspired by a few YouTubers that do that, and they just make like nothing I could ever make on my own, you know. And I mean, they do it because they're like professionals, but you know, for me it would probably take me like hiring like 10 people to make a video like this. But you know, just to really get certain points across, I guess.
I think that for me, like one of the realizations that I've had over time, especially going back to all of these podcasts we've done, I think I like for a while was struggling with the concept of like getting older and like with like decline is in sight, and we have a while. But it's just like to be 25 is different than being 20, and you're 26, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm about to be 26. I think that a realization I had is like, you know what, like I'm not gonna do everything, but I'm a smart person, and I care about people, and I'm not fucking perfect. Everyone has flaws, but like I just see it as like almost my responsibility to try and like get the most out of myself as possible. Not out of like shame or anything, but just because it just seems like something I should do. So I think that like that's kind of how I'm trying to go about it. Like looking around, like we both see this. It's just like the world, the culture of the world thinks in all of these like fucked up ways, and like it's just making a lot of people unhappy and like reactionary, and like it's just such a crazy time for the world.
Yeah.
And I just want to keep like reading, keep learning about this, keep like viewing it from this perspective, because I think that like once people understand something, like the way that like I see the world, and it's like this like materialistic mindset. It's like when you're in it you can't see it, but when you're like outside of it you can.
Yeah.
And I think that it's just like this is one of the most important things, just like how people think, and like this like insecurity and like abundance mindset versus scarcity mindset, and like I don't know, I think like it's like to kind of like you gotta change yourself before you change the world. It's like
right, and then you can lead by example, and if you just do that then and you put it out there in writing or videos or whatever it is, books, then you're putting out there, you are affecting the world by the way that you're acting, the way that you're thinking, and you're inevitably making other people think the way that you're thinking, and or find their own way of thinking, but not by being a shithead and by doing it within the framework of let's freaking do something that makes sense for all of us and just stop bitching at each other and stop being assholes. And yeah I don't know, it's like it's just it's empathy, and I think that like it's just it's really important for the time that it is. And I also think that like what as humanity sees like this existential crisis looming, more and more people will like snap out of it and like be ready to like change themselves and to like adapt, because like really this is like maybe dramatic, but like really like the future of the world and like the human race, like it's all like up in the air right now with how fast technology is moving. Oh, dude, I listened to this one really interesting podcast episode. It was Sam Harris interviewing, I have no idea what the person's name was, and he had this theory, and it was called like I'm so butchering this, but like I don't remember the guy's name or the name of the theory, but here's what it was. It was really interesting, and it was kind of this theory of inevitable technological end of the world. And it was this concept of like, imagine you're reaching into this tub of ping pong balls, and each ping pong ball is like a new technology that's introduced into the world. And technology companies, scientists, researchers, all we're doing right now is we're just reaching in, pulling out the next discovery, reaching in, pulling out the next discovery, reaching in, pulling out the next discovery. And his argument was like, how crazy is it that like on a scale to white being something that is like a white ping pong ball, meaning like all good, no bad, and like a black ping pong ball being like a technology that could like end civilization, for example. And he was saying how everything thus far is either like white or gray, meaning like some things are good but can be used for bad, but we haven't had one technological discovery that just single-handedly like fucked up the world so crazy bad. And he gave the analogy, he was saying like what if the technology required to create an atomic bomb had been as simple as putting sand in the microwave? Then we would have blown ourselves up by now. But something as powerful as an atomic bomb just so happens to be pretty damn complicated that not that many people can figure it out. Meanwhile, fire is pretty simple, but it's not that devastating, right? And he's just saying how like we've never just picked out the next technology and had it be something that is remarkably destructive and simple. It just hasn't happened yet, and how inevitable it is that any day we could just be reaching into the next technology and it could be something so devastating.
I mean, it could, but I think that like
sure, it also couldn't.
I think it makes sense that like putting sand in the microwave, like it isn't that simple. And even
but isn't it weird that that's just the nature of our universe, that there's no simple but very destructive thing?
By the nature of us existing, it means that there hasn't been any easy way to destroy it.
Right, and like what are the odds of that? Like
probably pretty low if we've existed thus far.
But it's kind of weird that like our physics just so happen that there's nothing that's easy and powerful. Like there could be, for example, there could have been. That's okay. Yeah. I agree with you. It's most impressive that has never happened in the past and we've actually come to exist. It's less likely that there's something that we haven't discovered that could, but it's very possible. Like, we don't know what technology's next.
It's a constant race, but it's like, think about this. Like in 100 years, maybe it'll be as easy for anyone in their kitchen to like create an atomic bomb, but then also maybe in 100 years, maybe the human race will be spread out through 1,000 planets.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know. I think eventually all things probably go extinct.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But it's just interesting how we just play with our extinction. Like there was something about it was this experiment about this was something in like the 1950s or 60s, and it might have been like bomb testing or something. And basically there was this controversy over, could this thing, whatever this testing is that I'm sorry, my memory is so bad. Just if anyone's listening, or you, Sam, is like wants to find it, like if you dig into Sam Harris's podcast from probably a few months ago, you'd probably be able to find this. It was a really good episode. But anyways, whatever technological thing they were doing, there was concern that the atmosphere could ignite. So that was a pretty big risk, right? And all of the scientists eventually determined that this thing was okay to do because it was not going to ignite the atmosphere. And they determined that this blast, I guess it probably was a bomb testing. They said it would have, like, for the sake of example, a 10-mile radius. Okay, so they evacuated everybody in this 10-mile radius out in the ocean, whatever. And they set the thing off. The atmosphere doesn't ignite, but they were off on the radius by a factor of 4. And there were people on boats that were just like incinerated and stuff like that. Like I don't think it was a lot of people. There was like one guy on a boat or whatever. But like, let's say they said it was a 10-mile radius and it was like a 30-mile radius. Yeah. Meaning the calculations were significantly off. The atmosphere didn't ignite, but they were wrong, right? Yeah. So it just goes to show, it's like why are we just doing these crazy things that we don't really fully understand? Like, should we be taking any risk that has any sliver of a chance of igniting the atmosphere if we're wrong? Like, probably not. Or like, think about nuclear reactors. Like, nobody thought about what would happen. You can't turn them off. Nobody would think about what would happen in the case of like, one of them breaking, or that stuff that's happened, these like nuclear meltdowns. Like,
you can't turn them off?
No, they can't turn them off. So
how do you turn them off?
They run forever. The only ones that are, I don't know if the ones that have like exploded, I guess, might be off, but no, it's like perpetual as far as I understand. I could be completely wrong, but these nuclear reactors, they can't turn them off, and at least we don't know how to turn them off, and we don't have the technology to turn them off. I don't know if it's like physically impossible, but what the hell were people thinking to just like turn that shit on with like no plan whatsoever? And that's kind of like the black ball theory or whatever it is it's like that could have been a black ball, almost igniting the atmosphere could have been a black ball. Yeah. But we've just gotten like weirdly lucky so far and haven't happened to blow up the planet yet. Oh, or another good example of this was everything happening about global warming right now. Everyone knows that, right? I think the current projections are like, I don't know, in the next 10 or 20 or 30 years, the average temperature is going to raise by like 2 degrees, right? Like based on what we're doing. 2 degrees is enough for us to slowly, dramatically fuck up the world. Slowly, right? Like, we're melting ice caps, rising sea level. It's important, but it's slow and it's subtle. What if our pollution had raised the average temperature by 30 degrees and not 3? Like, what if that had been the way physics worked? That our levels of pollution raised it by 30, not 3.
But what's the point with it?
The point is that we've gotten stupidly lucky with all these things that we're doing.
But if it had raised it by 30, then maybe, like, it doesn't just go from 0 to 30. It goes from 0 to 1 and 1 to 2. And at the rate that it's happening, you can start
to, but look at it. But think about right now. It's like we got so far before realizing the damage we were doing, right?
Yeah.
The damage we're doing is still, like, apocalyptic in the future, potentially, if we don't get our shit together, right? Okay, what if it had only been 2 degrees? What if the timescale had been different? What if this had happened 3 years after the automobile was invented, right? Like, what if the last 100 years of pollution and temperature buildup happened within 1 year and they didn't realize in time? Like, it's just weird how, like, physics seems to be, like, on our side in terms of luck.
The only thing we can do is just, like, do our best with whatever the case is. It's like, I mean, I agree with you that there's probably going to be tons of things that come up. It's just sort of impossible to see it coming, and just, like, when it happens, you just got to, like, try your best. And if there's ever a case where we're, like, unable to reverse the damage and it's a black ping pong ball and
we'll just all die, which is, I mean, that might just be the fate. I'm not, like, even necessarily fighting against that. I just think it's interesting because I think it's very unique how we just don't have, like, a set of systems for, like, what we should and shouldn't explore. Like, a lot of people think AI could be, like, the end of the world, right?
Yeah.
And we're not sort of regulating what's going on. So it's not even a fact of, like, a technology. It's like, well, maybe just one person messes up and does something that maybe this one AI, like, in some random basement is the one that, like, ends the world, not, like, what the big guys are doing.
I think that it's just impossible to stop, like, technological progress. Like, people are just so fucking curious, and, like, people are gonna find stuff, and, like, even if there was regulations, the regulations would be broken. Like, it's really hard to turn back the time on technology, and I think that the best thing that we can do is just to try and, like, help people, like, do it with, like, good values, because then like, I don't know.
That's true. But somebody with good values could still make a world-ending mistake.
Yeah.
But, and I'm not arguing against technology. I just think, like, people sort of need to think about what are the potential negatives of a technology, or what they're even trying to develop but haven't. Right?
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah, but that was an interesting podcast. What other podcasts what are you listening to lately?
I heard the Joe Rogan Naval podcast recently.
I watched a few clips from it, but I keep hearing about it again since that. I think I need to listen to just the whole thing.
Yeah, seems like his maybe most popular one since Elon. It was cool. Like, Naval, I mean, I think all of these, like, wise people have, like, different perspectives, and, like, whenever you're listening to them, they seem just, like, totally right. But I think there's something to take with all of them. But yeah, it is interesting. It's, like, especially in terms of, like, thinking about capitalism, he gives this, like, really well-spoken argument for capitalism. And even they like, addressed Andrew Yang's, like, universal basic income ideas, which, like, previously I was, like, such a proponent of. But after hearing Naval and his reasoning on it, which basically, if I can remember, he says that, like, people don't want just, like, free money. They want, like, some sort of purpose. That's, like, the real driver.
Sure.
And he also said that he's like, it's sort of not a problem, because whenever technology eliminates one job, there's also these, like, new jobs that pop up.
Yeah.
In this, like, new economy. And then also like when you let people vote themselves more money, then it's like a quick slide from democracy, from capitalism to socialism.
Right.
Because it's like, oh, why not just vote yourself more money and then more money?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm still not sure what I think about it, but that was super interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I don't know.
That even kind of ties into the last topic too, is how you said that he said, sort of quote, whenever jobs are, taken away, other ones are created. It's like, yeah, so far, right?
Yeah.
Or even people, I mean, people even say this in terms of like investing. It's like, just invest in the U.S. stock market because every time it crashes, it recovers. It's like, yeah, so far.
So far. And you know what else people say? People are like, yep, usually the bull runs only last like 8 years or so, and then it crashes. It's like, what the fuck? Like, we're in this crazy technological revolution. Like,
nothing is the same.
Maybe it's undervalued.
Yeah.
Like,
or maybe it goes up for the next 50 years, and then the U.S. crashes to literally zero and is no longer a country. And the stuff, like, I mean, I think this and the other thing tied it perfectly together is that unprecedented things can happen.
And are happening.
Yeah. Like, why do we just expect...
Like, the fucking buy the S&P 500 or whatever, however the advice goes, it's like, shit, that advice was created when the internet didn't exist, when everybody had a 9-to-5 in some office building. Like, it's a quick changing world.
Yeah, and it's worked for, what, 90 years?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not forever.
And even
so you're basing 90, you're gonna bet your next 50 years of life's wealth on something that's been true for 90 years.
Right. And even people look at my investment strategies and like they consider it like very risky. Like I have a very large amount of my money in like, let's call it risky investments, just crypto.
I was gonna say, yeah. What percentage is not in crypto would be more interesting as
I'll
over under 0.1%.
I don't want to get into it on the podcast. Yeah, definitely like a large percentage, but I think like the advice is not meant for me because I'm like making money online, entrepreneur. Like if I lose half of my money, then it sucks, but it doesn't mean that I can't like make it back in a year or two. Like it just, looking at the expected value, like it really does, like the law of compounding returns. Like you don't want to hit zero. You really don't want to hit zero. But yeah, I think that like there's some things that should be more high risk mentality.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the quote safe things are kind of scary. Like I mean, the same goes for say real estate. Like I've always been up and down on both these things. Like I'll watch some financial videos or whatever, and be like, I need to just invest in the S&P 500, or it's like, or then you watch just some other shit and you're like, oh yeah, real estate is the answer to everything. But it's like, neither of those are that great. And then neither of those are that certain either, I feel.
Ooh, it reminds me of so I read another Alan Watts book recently. It's called like The Book on the Taboo Against Being Yourself or something like that.
I've seen that. Something like that.
And it was really good, but it reminded me of this quote. Do you think can we pause it for a second while I find it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's the same idea. We've all heard this idea a million times about just like working away your life for retirement, and it's all like it doesn't make sense. But the way that Alan Watts phrased it is one of my favorites. Okay. In other words, you have been hypnotized or conditioned by an educational processing system arranged in grades or steps, supposedly leading to some ultimate success. First nursery school or kindergarten, then the grades or forms of elementary school, preparing you for the great moment of secondary school. But then more steps, up and up to the coveted goal of university. Here, if you are clever, you can stay on indefinitely by getting into graduate school and becoming a permanent student. Otherwise, you are headed step by step for the great outside world of family raising, business, and profession. Yet graduation day is a very temporary fulfillment, For with your first sales promotion meeting, you are back in the same old system, being urged to make that quota. And if you do so, they'll give you a higher quota. And so progress up the ladder to sales manager, vice president, and at last, president of your own show, about 40 to 45 years old. In the meantime, the insurance and investment people have been interesting you in plans for retirement, that really ultimate goal of being able to sit back and enjoy the fruits of all your labor. But when that day comes, your anxieties and exertions will have left you with a weak heart, false teeth, prostate trouble, sexual impotence, fuzzy eyesight, and a vile digestion.
Oh my god, dude. That was, like, both hilarious and amazing. I don't know. How is he so good? I don't get it. Like, everything that comes out of his mouth, just, like, I just want to, like, you know those videos of hit, like, where, and this is, like, something I want to do, too, to some extent. Like, you put his voice over, like, some music, and it just sounds like it was... It's done. Like there's nothing else to do. Like I don't get how what's it called, like channeling? Like I feel like he was just, that's the way he talks. Like it was just finished. His fun with it. Was finished. So it's so interesting. But yeah, that was great. There were some really good little lines in there too. Yeah. He's awesome. Would you recommend that book?
Yeah, I really liked it.
I should probably read it. Yeah, I mean, I loved Wisdom of Insecurity so much that, like, and I actually, like, read it, and, I'm bad on just the reading habit, and that book I just, like, devoured, so I should probably, like, build up my muscle by just reading it all at once.
Yeah, it's really easy to, I'll say this book had a little bit longer chapters than the Wisdom of Insecurity, so what I would do, I would just, like, stop in the middle of a chapter and put it down, but, as you go on, it's, like, it's, like, still totally Alan Watts, but, like, after The Wisdom of Insecurity, I'm like, all right, well, like, any other book he wrote will just be about the same fucking thing because this is everything. But it is, like, sort of a different topic.
Okay.
I would say the main idea of the book is, like, people think of themselves as, like, separate people in this world, but it's really hard to draw the line, and like people are more just like a part of the environment, just in the way that like everything is sort of like part of the environment. So
I do love when he comments on sort of like money type of things. Like I've really thought about like how could I incorporate this into like YouTube videos and kind of like take these little like clips and expand it out somehow, but because there's one I saved because I'm listening, something I've been listening to on and off for probably 9 months. There's this Audible book of his that is like his lectures compiled, and they're all like they're just in different chunks and they're unrelated, but they're so good. And like there was one like chunk that I did save that it just had to do with like like you accumulate all this money, but what's the point? Like the point is just to trade it for something else, and it's like you go to the market and you have like a cart full of food, and then you pay and you feel so bad because it was $40, but like that's what the $40 was for. Now you have this food, but you feel bad because you spent the $40, but like the point is the food the whole time.
Yeah.
And like what's the point of the money if you're not going to spend it? Basically, is what he was saying, which is like. I mean, shit, like, Kanye West says that too, but, like, it just sounded different coming from Alan Watts.
Yeah. There is no point if you're not going to spend it. It's like, money is hand in hand with the creativity of who has it.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. I don't like the overly conservative approach. Like, it might work, it might win, but... it's just too tame and it's not interesting. Yeah. And
you also learn more when you like are vulnerable.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like I'm sure somebody made their money by like buying a zoo. Like I mean, people have done super unconventional shit. Like it's not like not everyone made their money through like S&P 500. Like some family. Just they just the great grandson inherited $100 million through the local zoo. I don't know, like just some weird, just yeah. I'd rather be half as rich and have some interesting stuff, I guess.
Yeah, and I think like it's all like wealth is all one thing, and it's like as you go and you learn more, then like you start to like. I think the money almost like goes hand in hand with your ability to spend it. Not always, but.
What do you mean by that?
Like, the more money you make, it speaks to like that you're like giving more into the economy. And if you're like putting more into the economy, then you've probably learned a bunch of these skills, like how to like, in order to make a lot of money, you also sort of like have to be able to spend a lot of money, at least on your business. I'm speaking a little bit of a narrow lens, but yeah, I don't know. I think that like spending money is a skill that you get like over a long period of time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know people that are like overly frugal, and it can be weird. I personally think it comes from a place of fear for them, for sure.
Yeah.
I really think that.
I agree, yeah.
'Cause, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not looking to I'm just looking to make money and spend it and have ways to continue that, but I'm not looking for like to build like a fortress that's impenetrable, even if, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's a lot of people's goals. It's like, well, what, like first of all, if there's an apocalypse, like even money is not gonna hardly matter. I mean, you're better off like, you know, hoarding like gasoline and like, you know, canned sardines and water and like, I don't know, like there's a different, there's like, you know, you could go down the what do they call themselves, like the people who, the preppers, like people who are very, very prepared preppers, I guess, is like, you know, that's more valuable in those worst case scenarios than like, I can liquidate my, you know, like, I don't know, it's just,
it is. I think it does come from fear, and like that's what I'm trying to avoid. Like, I think in any part of life, in any like rank of, let's call it success, there's always like people from a fear mindset and people from like, let's call it like a love mindset, and I always want to not be coming from fear, because I think that that's sort of like hand in hand with happiness.
I agree. Yeah. And I think there's also like an anxiety with just trying to maximize everything. Like, if those people found out that they could have got 9% instead of 8%, I feel like they'd just be really, really upset.
Yeah, it's all in just like, is it like happiness is reality minus expectations.
Yeah, I was just talking about that with Jessica. Like today, it came up actually. It's just like it's literally just a matter of what happens versus what was your expected reality. Like that's just how to be happy.
Yeah, like the most important thing for me is just to be happy.
Yeah,
and that's kind of a loaded word, but just to like, but like I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get you. And even on like the what you'd spend money on, like I've definitely had like lower goals recently in a way. Like I don't know. Like I just don't think I need tens of millions or hundreds of millions, you know? Like,
keep in mind, when you say lower goals, that implies some sort of measurement system.
Well, and I think I was, you know, I mean, I think there was a time where it's like, maybe I should try to build a $100 billion business.
But maybe what I'm saying is that maybe that's the lower goal. Building a $100 million business, like, well, it all has to do with your value system.
Sure. But that's what I'm saying. So it's like, I don't know. Lately, I have less ambition to try to just up my value system, I guess. Because like, yeah, I mean, you know, people say this. It's like, you know, you're making $30,000 a year, and then you figure out how to level up to the $100K a year people, and then you meet some people at the $200K people, and then you level up to them, and then you realize somebody's making $1 million, then you level up to them. Yeah. The levels don't end. Mm-hmm. I mean, even if you're worth 10 million, I'm sure there's some people that just like, yeah, well, my yacht is 100 million. Like, I don't know, like, you know, there's just people like, there's always like another tier, and I don't know. I mean, the only thing for me is like I have some irrational obsessions, like cars and watches. Mm-hmm. And if I had unlimited money, I'd probably like collect them basically.
I think it all has to do with like who you're comparing yourself to. It's like if you're measuring it by if your measurement stat is like dollars earned per year, then you can measure it against other people. Then you can always level up. Mm-hmm. But I think that there's always like in a sense I always want to be leveling up, but it just has to do with like what skill we're talking about. Like yeah. I want to like if I ever like I never want to get to a point where I like stop learning and stop improving myself.
Yeah.
But I don't judge improving myself based on like how I compare to fucking people on the internet.
Right.
It's based on like, am I pursuing my goals? Like, am I enjoying what I'm learning? Like, am I doing it for the right reasons?
Are you better off than you were 6 months ago rather than the other guy?
Exactly. And like, I think that that's an infinite game. Like, I can do that for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm. But you still don't want to live forever. No, let's not go down that rabbit hole again.
No. I don't know. It's almost something I don't even think about because, like, I'm just like I'm trying to be healthy and I do want to make good long-term decisions. But like,
wait, the finance stuff or the longevity stuff?
Longevity. Like, I'm trying to be healthy and make long-term decisions, but I'm just like focused on what's going on right now. Like, I'm living pretty healthy.
Well, I think leveling up your happiness and your enjoyment of life is more important than leveling up your finances or leveling up your blood test results or whatever. It's like it's much more just like, you know, what is your subjective value on your life, I guess, is a decent way of putting it.
And I think a lot of it is just like presence, and like a lot of it just like takes time to like practice like how to think, and like I don't know, there's just like it is like a lot of parts in the world are just like very jarring, and like it just takes a while. And I just see myself like as I'm getting older, like 25 looks a lot different than 22, and I guess it just gives me peace to think that like life is not unlimited, and maybe there's 80 years, maybe there's 300 years, like who knows. But I don't know, it just like it never does me that much good to think about that, like, because I'm here right now, and like in a sense like you never be in the same moment twice, and like it's just kind of nice to like just like be present and not worry too much about the future or the past, and like
no, I mean that's for sure a great practice. I mean I don't think anyone who's like so focused on longevity that they're like not that they're and they're not valuing the present is missing the point for sure. Then you're just playing another like bank account game sort of, you know.
And it's like it's hard to get out of those games, and I don't and yeah, it's hard to get out of those games, but I do see myself like evolving over time. Like I care a lot less about how I compare to like people on the internet than I did like 3 years ago. And like I would say I always like sort of had a sense for this, but like especially after like making more money, it's like I don't give a fuck. Like I just know that so many people have a lot of money and are not happy and are so fucking insecure, like and are just like running this infinite game that they're never gonna realize they're running. And like I don't have anything against it, but like it's just not.
I agree. And it changed my perspective too, is because like just today I was at this like a cars and coffee meetup. Like you basically people just bring their cars and like I met this 15-year-old kid that's been like DMing me that, you know, follows my stuff. Like just this one line like kind of stuck in my head was that like he basically just said like, you know, he's like nowhere near considering a car of like my level, which like, okay, yeah, duh, you're like 15 or 16. But like on the other hand, I'm like, you're not that far off either. Like it's not that big of a deal. It's not that different. And like people they think it's such a stretch and that it's such a long time, and it might not be, or that it's people that are not like them. And it's just these weird like comparison things. And that also that people are like so desperate for it. Not like a car, but they're desperate to like get to that next level where they could. And I kind of just want to be like, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that different.
Yeah, and it is like, dude, people fucking obsess over. I know you're obsessed with the cars, and it might be interesting to talk about, but like, dude, people really want that one car, and honestly, like from my perspective, and I know we've talked about that you think the technology is really cool, and I get that, but like a lot of people, I just think it's just so silly to me.
Yeah. No, I actually think there's a lot of interesting stuff in this topic, because I am like a diehard car enthusiast. Like, I mean, I love it in every aspect, and I think almost everybody that obsesses over a car is like freaking insane. Like, I mean, like all the wrong reasons. The wrong reasons. Like, in me as like a snob of this stuff, is like, I mean, you can just tell by which cars they're attracted to too, and it's just like, it's like, are you looking for something engineered or flashy? Are you looking for something fun for yourself or get the most attention? Like, there's so many things. I mean, I took my new car to the racetrack, and it was like, I mean, that's a visceral, fun experience.
Yeah.
Nobody with Lambo takes their car to the track. I mean, it's just like, it's not even a thing. So I've been kind of like anti-Lambo lately, because I'm like, these people are, and there's still parts of Lambos that attract me, just because, you know, they are visceral and they have crazy design, and it's kind of like that childlike wonder. Like, those cars have that, but these people just want attention, and that's why I'm obsessed with like the Porsche crowd, because first of all, your average person doesn't give a fuck about a Porsche. Like, you're not impressing shit with that car. Like, most people have no freaking idea about it. Second of all, those people like really care about the engineering, the performance, the fun of the driving experience. And it's not just about the flashiness. It's about a visceral experience, you know? And that's different. That's why I'm into cars. It's not just that, like, I want to be like a fucking baller in my fucking like $130 Mercedes or $130,000 Mercedes like sedan when I'm blasting music and it fucking changes the light so I can impress all these fucking, you know, it's like that crowd I like have nothing in common with, like, at all. And it's the same with the watch crowd, you know? I mean, somebody that just wants like a solid gold Rolex, or like, you know, the diamonds or whatever. It's like, no, for me, it's like, I want this freaking like historical aged like thing that nobody would ever notice, right? It's like so different.
To define what you like based on what you like, compared to defining what you like based on what you think other people like.
See, so I think 99% of these people that want cars, they don't give a shit about cars. They just think that they'll feel a certain way from other people if they have it. And like, if anything, that makes me uncomfortable, because like, I just think I genuinely like the design, the experience. I appreciate the engineering that went into it, and I like learning about it. And I think most people don't give a shit about any of those things. So, and that's why, like, in the enthusiast, I mean, you could have somebody with a, you know, $500,000 Porsche, basically freaking race track car, and they might appreciate some car on the street that's worth $3,000, but a certain $3,000 car might be nuanced in such a way that, you know, that person gets it. And so it's not about the value, it's not about the flashiness, it's about like the sort of like the ethos, like the appreciation of the same, what is important about it is in common across the $500,000 car and the $3,000 car. Meanwhile, there's a bunch of like brand new cars that are way too expensive that are stupid. But the car thing has a huge stigma, and I think I have in common with only like a very small subset of it. So I totally get you. I think it's so ridiculous for the most part.
So, something I read recently, in Mark Manson's new book recently came out. It was some philosopher's idea. It was like maybe Kant or Nietzsche, or I think it was Nietzsche, but I'm not sure. Basically, he summed up all of his views on morality into sort of one idea. That's when you do something for the sake of itself, compared to like having some other when what you do is the ends as opposed to a means, then that's sort of morality. But when what you do is a means to some sort of end, then that's sort of like immorality, and that's where that sort of goes in line with all of our like moral intuitions.
I'm trying to get my head fully around it. I mean, the means and the ends thing, that aspect of it, I've even talked about it. Like, 'cause I talked about it in, like, in terms of, like, business at one point, but tying morality and immorality to it, I'm not quite getting my head around.
That was sort of, I think the end of it was, like, my interpretation. But, like, I think you got it, and maybe I added something that made it more confusing. But basically, like, the reason the car example reminded me of it is because for you, the car is an ends.
Okay.
Like, for you, the car is the end. It's the enjoyment. But for the people we're talking about, it's a means in order to, like, influence the way other people think.
Right. Yeah. No, I think, and that's why I'm, like, comfortable with the car obsession, because I think for a long time I've also felt like, because I hate the stigma of it, because I don't think I'm just, like, trying to show off or whatever. I'm just genuinely freaking obsessed with particular material things, and watches too, like, but I remember we talked about it once with watches, and it's the same with cars. You know, it's like, it's gotta have design, it's gotta have function, it's gotta have, like, experience, it's gotta have, like, historical significance too, and then when it has, like, all that things, it becomes art, and it becomes something very different than just, like, whether it's expensive or not, or whether it looks cool or not. There's so much into it. Like, I think another thing too is, like, you might just need to experience it. Like, and I think this was something that, like, maybe when I got my first Porsche, I had almost forgot about this, because at that point I was just like, I need a newer car. My car's, like, doesn't even have airbags. Like, it's old. And, like, I always liked those cars, so I got it. And then I drove it, and I was like, oh yeah, that's why. Like, it had, like, all of a sudden you, like, forget what it even looks like, and you're like, wait, this experience is different, and, like, the experience is what matters. Like, if you, like, hear that, like, I'm pretty, like, you cannot not get excited.
Okay. That's true. I really don't have experience. I've never driven one. So. Yeah.
Or even just, like, you just hear it, or you just feel it. You know, it's like this car, if anyone is listening and is curious, I'm talking about a GT4. It's like, you know, it's rigid, and you're sitting in these carbon tub bucket seats, and there's a fire extinguisher under your feet, and, you know, you're seeing underneath trucks because you're so low, and, you know, it's manual transmission, it's loud as fuck. Like, it's a crazy experience. And dude, like, I'm going down, like, the track rabbit hole so much, like, which is why I don't know if I need another hobby like guitar. Like, because, dude, it's fun. I mean, and because then you're turning it into a game. Then it has nothing to do with showing off. It's like, think about how many people play Forza, Need for Speed, all those, like, games, right? Like, I played them growing up. It's like, I can't even believe it that I'm, like, doing this for real. Like, dude, it was a crazy experience, like, being out there, like, with a helmet on, and, like, you know, you're freaking just pushing the car to the limits, like, losing traction. I mean, it becomes a game. It has nothing to do with, like, impressing freaking people out at the valet or whatever. When you're flying around a corner and your tires are squealing, and, like, it's totally different.
So cool.
Yeah, I'm, like, way deep down it. And then there's just, like, the history with the brands. Like, I've gotten really into, like, the older Porsche too recently, and, like, then it becomes kind of more in line with, like, the vintage watches, because then it's like there's all these nuances and significance and, like, you know, collectability and, like, rarity, and it's just, again, it doesn't impress anybody except for, like, a few nerds on the internet, I guess. But you know, nobody even knows. Like, this car gets no more attention than my last one, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But I'm just overly obsessed, so I can talk about it too much. But we can definitely change the subject. But I've been, like, more obsessed than ever lately, so I just think about it, like, 24/7. This is why I've got nothing done.
Of course. You want to talk about crypto?
Yeah. What's new in the crypto world? Other than it going up a lot, and now me thinking I should have bought.
But don't you have? Didn't you buy?
Yeah. I have some, but I mean, not a. not a significant, like, even if Bitcoin went up to,
But you didn't sell what you bought.
no, I have some, but it's not a significant, I mean, if Bitcoin went up to 50K each, it would not be a life-changing amount of money for me.
All right.
Wait, what?
I want to know how much you have.
I'll say...
You don't have to say it on the...
Okay, we can bleep this out or something.
Okay.
I mean, I have, like, I think not even 10 Bitcoins.
I mean, that's a pretty good amount.
Right, but like, okay, if it went up to 50K, that means maybe my portfolio would be worth, I don't remember my exact amount, which is like, I mean, I'd be happy to have dollars, but like, it wouldn't be $80 million. It wouldn't be 8 million. Or okay, there's no. It would be dramatic. I mean, that'd be crazy, right?
Yeah.
$1,000 would be nice, but it wouldn't blow my mind.
Let's save price talk for a second, but like,
no, we can. So we'll edit all that out. But I am curious, like,
okay.
But like, I mean, what did you think about? Like, what seemed off about that, or what's?
Oh no, I just wanted to make sure you had, because I thought you had, and I think that's a good amount. That's much better than.
Yeah. No, like, but it's not, like, there's very small odds of it being worth, millions of dollars probably, unless we'll see over the long term.
Yeah. But. Okay, so earlier you said that there still doesn't seem to be much of like a use case for it.
Yeah, I've said that. Or just that I have uncertainty about the use case.
Yeah, I think like one of the use cases I see is Bitcoin. It's turning into like more and more of this like digital gold, and I think that it's really viable as a digital gold for a few reasons. Number one, there's this huge community around it, and every fiat currency like made by a government, basically the government owns the printing press for the money. So whenever the government gets in some sort of trouble or like wants to just like basically just like take a little bit of the power back, like they just like need some money for something, then they'll just like print more money.
Right.
And that's how it's worked today, and that's been like a necessary cost of like transacting in money, because you need someone to make it, and it made so much sense for the governments to make the money. But Bitcoin doesn't rely on a government. It's running on hundreds of thousands of computers throughout the world. There's this really powerful community of people on it, and you know that there's only going to be a certain amount of Bitcoins, and most of them are already out there. So even just extrapolating over like 30 years, the monetary supply at 2% a year, that can like double, and your stuff's worth half. But Bitcoin, it just doesn't do that. So conceivably, it should keep rising over time as more people put money into this as just like a way to store their wealth. Because the amount of money, the amount of wealth in the world rises over time. So I just think it's very likely that this is going to be a sort of like instrument for people to keep their wealth, because there's a ton of places. Cash is a terrible investment.
Sure. But
you can put it into stocks, which is a good investment. You can put it into gold, that's the idea there. Or you can put it into Bitcoin. And I think that just it's slowly becoming this agreed upon like store of value. Mm-hmm. And I don't see it going away just because it has such a strong community around it. There's like so much momentum towards it. Yeah. I think it's almost going to like maybe run away even more because... Oh, and then... Okay.
I agree with everything you've said so far, by the way.
Yeah. So even under that hypothesis, it's just like more money is just going to keep going into it. And the second thing is I think it's really good for free speech, because to not integrate with all these government systems, it means that you have this money that people can send to anyone, and it just gets delivered. It's just an address. Mm-hmm. So people are now able to sort of just like pay someone, and it only integrates with computers around the world. It's this like uncensorable money system, and I think that that's really it gives a lot of power to the individual. Yeah. And so far, as with everything I see, Bitcoin is sort of the only way to do that, because it's such a large network. Mm-hmm. I think it would be really hard for anything to compete with that at this point.
In terms of a newer crypto?
Yeah, just because it's so decentralized. And there's
I think that's still... This is probably similar to something I would have said months ago. that's still the part that's hard for me to get my head around. Is just like, why could is it not possible that something so much better comes out that people decide to jump off the Bitcoin and jump onto whatever else? Like, I believe in the system 100%. I'm like 90% sure it's Bitcoin, but I mean, it seems possible to me that it could be others still.
I mean, I agree with you. I think it's possible that something could come around. If we're talking about like store of value and censorless payments, I think that, yeah, the idea is very valuable, but it's not definitely going to be Bitcoin.
Right. I
just think that from everything I've seen so far, it seems like it's headed that way, and I think that if it ever wasn't headed that way, it would be... I could be wrong, but I just don't think it would take me by surprise because I follow this so closely. I think there would be like warning.
Yeah, I get that too. Is number 2 right now still Ethereum?
In market cap, yeah. Number 2 is Ethereum.
So if that is your if you're, we'll pretend you're 100% in this, where you're probably not. You probably wouldn't take an 100% bet, but let's say you 100% think Bitcoin is going to be the number 1, the stored value, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
What does that make for your prediction for number 2? Does that mean a number 2 is going to go away, down? Is it going to have a different use case? Is it going to be like every single person has, their portfolio spread across a few? Like what if you're taking the position of 100% in on Bitcoin, what is your prediction for the others? Does that make sense the way I've framed
Yeah,
it?
I get it. And when I say 100% is I think that Bitcoin is going to be a store of value. But let's say I think the second most valuable cryptocurrency right now, not by market cap, but just by how valuable I think, is Binance Coin.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. Like each one of these is going to be valuable in its own unique way, and if it's not valuable in its own unique way, then I think eventually they're just going to lose value. But for example, Binance Coin. Binance is this like the top cryptocurrency exchange in the world. Like I look at the valuation. You can look at the valuations of like these big stock exchange companies, like the owner of the New York Stock Exchange. There's like these like exchanges provide huge values, and Binance is the top crypto exchange in the world. And the BNB, Binance Coin, they're using it on their system as a type of like incentive program. So like Binance users on the exchange that hold more BNB get different benefits, such as like discounted trading, access to investments. So like when a new project like offers their token on Binance, people that own 500 BNB or more get like a much higher chance of being able to invest in that project. So,
quick question there.
Yeah.
But can't people just kind of come in and out of it at that time? Like, I mean, what is the value of like holding it long term, or holding more than say 500? Like, for example, like I remember with me on that, when I was like trying to like trade crypto a while back, I don't remember how many BNB, but let's say it was like 100. It was like if you had 100 BNB, you would save on the transaction fees or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I just made sure to have that many.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be these like incentives with it, and I think just as the Binance ecosystem continues to grow, like they recently released their decentralized exchange, where a decentralized exchange is basically, think about Facebook is a centralized service, where Facebook owns it, but email is a decentralized service where anyone can set up an email server and just connect to this like sort of protocol in the middle. Binance today was a centralized exchange, but they released a decentralized exchange, which is basically that thing. It's just like a protocol. It's running on different computers, and the benefit is that instead of just having to trade on Binance.com, it's like email. So for email, there's Gmail, there's Yahoo Mail, there's all these. And the same with Binance's decentralized exchange. So there's the decentralized exchange, but now there's like Trust Wallet integrates. There's like different clients that are all integrating to this exchange. And it's possible that every crypto wallet will eventually integrate with this Binance decentralized exchange. And on that, it's like Binance, because it's decentralized, they can't just like take a percentage of anything. But what they do is the validators that keep this network running, they get paid in BNB in order to do the work that they do. So just like Ethereum, how like people are incentivized with the Ethereum coin, on Binance chain, people are incentivized. People like payments happen in BNB. So as this system grows, more and more people are gonna have reasons to hold this. So it's sort of just like getting a stake in the whole Binance ecosystem. Like as the ecosystem grows, it's conceivable that
they are terrifyingly big potential. I mean, like I see that, but what are the risks for them having so much power also? Because I mean, I remember being into crypto when like, what was it, like MT Gox or whatever, I don't even know how you say it, but I remember all that.
Yeah.
And I just feel like there's been so many examples of stuff like that. It's scary when any one of these gets like a little too powerful. And I think, like, I mean, I follow him on Twitter and like all that. Like, I mean, I know that they're legit, but just because they have the right intentions doesn't mean something couldn't get screwed up also, you know? Do you worry about that, or?
I think it's one of the most brilliant companies I've ever seen. Like even Brave, like I think Brave is this brilliant product, but even the way they like design the UI in some places and like the way they do some things, I think is a little like, I don't know. Like I just like don't agree always. But with Binance, I think just like everything they do is just like this so brilliant, and they have this like really motivated team, and like how fast they move I think is almost a result of how people are incentivized with the BNB token. I think they're just on such a fast track that it's like this is a $5 billion valuation around BNB now. Probably the last podcast we did, it was more around 1, but
for the market cap of the coin.
Yeah. I just
and the company's worth what, $1 trillion?
Honestly, I would rather have shares in BNB than shares in Binance, the company. Just
really?
Yeah.
You think the company could go down without the coin going down?
I think that over time they're gonna release more decentralized technology, and with the decentralized technology, they're not gonna profit in the traditional way of like taking a fee, but instead they're large holders of BNB, so that they want this new technology to just increase the utility of BNB, drive up the people that are holding it, drive up the value, so they're sort of profiting indirectly through their own BNB holdings.
That makes sense.
So
wow.
Yeah,
I definitely should have bought BNB back then, for sure. Or now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Man, like, dude,
I'm just like, dude, I have the worst brain for crypto ever, just because like that's the mentality. Like now, what is Bitcoin right now? Is it still around 8?
It's like 8,700.
So probably last time we had a podcast, it was probably 3,200, 3,500. Like, if you had asked me, like, I mean, back then I would have told you there's a 95% chance that at some point it's going to be considerably higher than it is right now. Yet, like, I didn't buy more. And then it goes up to 8, and then I'm like, shit, I should buy more.
So why not? Why don't you?
Because I don't want it to go right back to 1. I don't know. But, I mean, I might. But, like, I just know... Here's the problem. And this is why if Bitcoin went up to 50K, it wouldn't be a significant amount of money. It's because I'm not up at all. I mean, most of what I bought was at higher valuations. Like, I've like... I couldn't be more like if I'm probably the amount of money I've put in is probably worth, even at the current valuation, double what it's actually worth now.
But who cares how much you've made or bought? You should be buying based on whether it's undervalued, and if you think that it's undervalued right now, then you should buy.
Yeah, and I probably thought it was undervalued at 16,000 too.
Yeah, and it probably was long term.
I agree with that.
Like, look at the cycles that this thing has done over time. Like, dude, nobody is aware that it's rose from 3,000 to 8,700. It's still super early in the next bull run.
So do you think this is? I guess this is a pretty straightforward question that I maybe should have even started with. Is this the next bull run?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's the start of the next bull run.
Did the last bull run start with this kind of pattern where it just like tiered up and then held?
This is what happens. Like it goes up and then it kind of crashes to like much higher than it was before it went up, and then like it slowly trends up and then it might like go down, then trend up, and then over time it like obliterates the old high. I mean, just looking at like everything.
But I mean, so, like. I mean, maybe this is even too specific, and this also ties back to thinking, like, things don't necessarily repeat exactly the same way. Right. But I think it's interesting how it just tiered up from 3.5 to 8, and now it's kind of like there, rather than like it hasn't been moving around a lot.
This is how it works, though. There's different resistance levels.
Is this what happened? So I guess what I'm curious about is, so the last big bull run, we were holding at what, like 100 or 200, and then it eventually broke 1,000, right? That was what
it went down to 200, from like 1,000 to 200, and then eventually it started trending up to like 400 and then 600. Then once it broke 1,000, it sort of just like
So in theory, this time it would have to break 20,000 to be past the real resistance.
Yeah, and
so I guess what I'm interested in is like...
but there's different resistances along the way, and 8,000 is one of them, 12,000 is the next. Yeah. And then after 12,000, you could consider that it's likely to go sort of just up to 20.
Yeah, and then if it breaks 20 a lot,
then there might be another like year or two of like a bull run, and then it'll probably crash again.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm bullish on it overall. I just I've definitely been burned to some extent, so... and I know that this is kind of how I messed up the previous times, which is that, it goes up, then I buy, or it was just really high, then it drops, so then I think, well, it's going to go up, and then it goes down. Like, it's just, I'm really bad at this, like, in terms of, trying to predict. This S&P 500, people say, don't try to predict. I'm bad at predicting.
I'm good at predicting.
Okay.
Generally, I could always be wrong, but like looking at what's happened and just looking at the mindset, I just see it changing from people being super anti-Bitcoin to starting to realize the value.
I agree with you.
I don't see any scenario like. I think it's so likely that at 8,700, like it seems like it's starting to be the next bull run, even by like sentiment.
Yeah.
And not only that, but like it's not snake oil. Like it's actually like a better form of money.
Yeah.
And I think that people are slowly realizing that, because it takes a while to like wrap your mind around it. You can't worry about like what you made or lost. You just gotta like
I
look at if you think it's a good investment today, then you should do it. And like if it were to drop and you think it's a good investment today and you buy it and then it drops, then like you shouldn't be mad about you shouldn't be upset about that, because you gotta go with what you feel like.
If somebody had, let's say, $10,000 to their name, and this was you, how much would you put into what coins?
Okay. If it was
$10,000 to your entire name, not just for crypto, just like in your bank account, like
yeah. I mean, if I had $10,000 to my name, I mean, I don't know how much my rent is. Like, this is not gonna last.
Okay, well,
long.
okay. Let's say you have 10,000 like surplus, like like your income is meeting your living expenses, and you have $10,000 remaining, right?
Okay, I'd probably put 6,500 into Binance Coin and 3,500 into Bitcoin.
So all your money.
Well,
wait, no. So I'm interested in the breakdown of coins, but I'm also interested in the breakdown of your allocation to crypto as a whole.
Oh.
You see what I mean?
I probably put at this point, I probably put 70% of it into crypto.
Okay. And it sounded like about, you said 65%.
Let's say I'll put 4,500. Let's say I'll put 4,500 into Binance Coin and $2,500 into Bitcoin.
Okay. Wow. Interesting. So Binance Coin still has that much ways to go. Yeah, I saw like somebody I follow sent out that like he had recommended Binance Coin like when you did, and he was saying like if you had bought like now you would have 5x your money, and I'm like bullshit.
Yeah, I mean I'm still buying more.
Yeah.
I think just to like you're still like super early. Facebook is announcing their cryptocurrency this Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I think that is going to be potentially the biggest announcement in cryptocurrency ever. I think it's going to be... There's different opinions out there, but I think it's going to be huge for Bitcoin.
That's really interesting. Weirdly, somebody just asked me what they thought about that, and I hadn't dug into the Facebook crypto, really. Mm-hmm. I would just... In terms of Facebook itself, I don't think I have a lot of trust for Facebook in general.
I'll just.
So I'm curious, like, what your breakdown of like that is.
Yeah, no, most people don't trust Facebook.
Right.
The cryptocurrency is gonna be like they want it to be stable, so it's gonna be tied to like a basket of fiat currencies, so like U.S. dollar, euro, a bunch of them. So theoretically, it's going to be a stable value to this coin, and it's like they have such a huge network of people, especially people in these countries that don't have stable currencies. Mm-hmm. I see it providing a big value to people in those countries. Just to sort of like Facebook can instantly give a bank account to a lot of people that don't have one and give them a stable way to store their money. I think is a good like social benefit no matter what anyone thinks of Facebook. I don't like Facebook.
But that's not unique, right? Or is it? Is it unique in the sense that they have a lot of reach, or is there something about their technology, their coin that is unique?
You mean that there's like these stable coins that already exist?
Well, you would know more than me, but I'm just wondering, like, is this a unique way of creating a stable coin, or are there already 100 others out there?
I mean, it's semi-unique because it's a basket of currencies, but I think that it's like, dude, it's because of the network, but
it's because it's Facebook is the main.
Yeah, but that's huge. Yeah.
Which is not to undervalue it, because that's like, I mean, that's like they have the world on their platform. Yeah, no, that's interesting, and I probably the most interesting thing you said was just how this could be the biggest announcement for crypto ever,
and maybe the biggest announcement for Facebook in years. Like I see that I see crypto as potentially Facebook's like next frontier.
Yeah, Facebook. This could be Facebook's in a weird place. It's just like I got a weird vibe when like even right now when you were like, yeah, people don't trust Facebook, and I was like, wow, like yeah, that is the sentiment. Yeah. People don't trust Facebook, and like what happens long term to a company that people just don't trust? Because everyone kind of has the feeling like Gary Vee would say, I'll bet on Zuckerberg forever. Not me. Yeah. Gary Vee would say that. And I get that. I think he's a genius entrepreneur and all that. But, like, can you keep betting on something that is not trusted? Because I think ultimately, like, if nobody trusts something, like, they'll just go away.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it is, like, that's their biggest vulnerability. And it's going to be hard for them to get it back.
Yeah, they're such a weird place.
I don't know. Yeah. I do think, like, they have such reach. Thinking about the people that have heard of crypto so far, Facebook has a network of 2 billion users. That's a lot of the world.
That's, like, 30% of the
And
world.
for them to introduce... The biggest problem in cryptocurrency is just that it's hard for people to learn about it. And for Facebook to give people a real use case for cryptocurrency, it's going to spark the minds of so many people around the world that don't even know that this exists. Yeah. I talk to people, I say, I write guides, have you ever heard of Bitcoin? A lot of people haven't even heard of it, even in Los Angeles.
Wow.
And Facebook releasing this is going to bring such mainstream adoption to this, and you probably will be able to... They're partnered with Coinbase. Like, I think you're going to be able to just exchange it for Bitcoin. Yeah.
You know what's really interesting there too is I just got done saying how we don't trust Facebook, so how could you trust this? But what's interesting is that most of the coins out there, you have no idea who's behind it. So in a way, like, you know, oh, it's Facebook. Like, okay, like I have a story in my head about Facebook. Like, I know if it's Facebook, it must at least be moderately legit. Like, yeah, maybe they're doing some shady, weird practices, but like, it's Facebook. It's like, you know, it's like, that's like equivalent to, you know, comparing Bank of America to like some sketchy place that just decided to be a bank yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, like at least it's like this thing that we're aware of and that has like a footing in culture and, you know, in a way that's actually still more trustworthy than most.
Like, you know, if Facebook gets behind it, that it's at least a really interesting and exciting technology.
Yeah. And they should be doing their reasonable best efforts to make it safe and good, I would think, but a lot of people have a lot of problem with Facebook. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting for sure. I guess I should, man. Yeah. Every time we talk, I'm like, I get more interested on these topics because I kind of go back into my world and like don't think about it that much. But yeah, like why haven't I gone deeper? But yeah, it's gonna be. I'm interested to see how people react to Facebook doing it.
Yeah,
I think it's great for the industry as a whole. Undoubtedly, that part is no question. But no. For the Brave stuff, have they reached out to you? Like, have you had contact with them directly?
Yeah. I'm not. I think it's technically confidential, so I don't want to talk about it on the podcast. But yeah, like
they're aware of you.
they're aware, and also like on the ad, like different Brave employees will reply to it, and the CEO has replied.
Oh wow!
A few times.
Okay.
So they're aware of it.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
We can talk more about that later.
Yeah.
But that's cool. Because I was just thinking I mean, I would assume it's all good. Like, it's pretty cool that you can just refer people.
It's exciting. What are we at?
We can. I think we're pretty deep in it. We could probably wrap up. Any final thoughts?
No, I don't think so. How about you?
No. I think that was pretty fun. It was good to do this again, and if anybody's listening, please, seriously, like you can't listen this far and not tell us that you listened to this far. Like,
I agree with you, and I think that that's why nobody's told us they listened this far, because nobody was.
I don't know. There might be one person. So I just want to put this out there. Like, this is an obligation. Like, if you're actually hearing this right now, like, send us a message and just tell us that you heard it. Like, that's it. Like,
we're begging you.
You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to leave a review. You don't have to do. I mean, you can do all those things, but like, I'm just really curious if, especially after a long break, I've heard that can be not good for podcasts. Like,
I don't think it is.
So I'm really curious, but I mean, I'm sure we'll post about it. So, you know, we might get some new people, but yeah.
Yes.
And if anyone is listening, we of course appreciate you, and we're on the same rock.
We are. We do.
So what are your thoughts? Let us know. Yeah.
Cool.
But it was fun, and until next time.
Till next time. Sounds good.